sex for Gabby. She was also incredibly malnourished. She was barely fed. And when she was fed, it was like little bits of scraps here and there. It wasn't like proper food. And the toilet accidents just kept getting worse and worse. Most of the time, Candace wasn't even in the home. And I don't know where she was. I don't know if she had a job or something. I just know that she wasn't really in the home, which meant that Brad was basically looking after Gabby most of the time. And all day, he would just be constantly messaging Candace about how much of a problem Gabby was, how many times she'd wet herself, that she was playing up, that she was being a menace, and she was doing it on purpose. Brad seemed to think that Gabby, the 4-year-old child, had it out for him, that she was wetting herself on purpose just to annoy him, that she was acting out to spite him. There was even one time where Brad accused Gabby of her throwing her own feces on him, and I don't think that happened. But if it did, he deserves it, but I don't think it happened. And in response to Gabby apparently throwing her feces on Brad, Brad told Candace in a message that he was going to, quote, drown Gabby in his own urine before forcing her to, quote, eat his own feces. Why does anyone's mind go there? Why would anybody say that they want to drown a child? Drown anyone, but a child in their own urine? Like, whose brain goes there? And then on top of that, Brad wants to make Gabby eat his feces. And I have no idea if Brad actually did this. I can only pray that he didn't. However, unfortunately, I wouldn't put it past him, but I don't know if it did happen. And again, he was just always messaging Candace that he was going to beat Gabby because of all of her misbehaving, because she wet herself. And Candace would be there on the phone, texting back straight away, encouraging it. At this point, Gabby was actually going to school. Remember, that's the whole reason why she's living there in the first place. And I just think that's crazy because she's going into preschool and she looks dirty. She's got bruises over her. And surely the teachers notice. And I don't know if they ever reported anything to social services or anything like that. But if they did or they didn't, nothing was ever done. And you might be wondering about Cynthia, the grandmother. I mean, obviously, she's cared for Gabby for the last 4 years. She loves Gabby. She's the only person that has actually ever cared for Gabby. Well, apparently at this time, Cynthia was going through a pretty rough patch in her life. I don't know what she was going through. It might have had something to do with the fact that Gabby was no longer living with her. So Cynthia wasn't exactly on her A game right now. She's struggling in her own life, but she's still trying to be there for Gabby. And every time Cynthia tries to see Gabby, Candace blocks her. Candace would always come up with a load of excuses of why Cynthia couldn't see her granddaughter. When Gabby was living with Candace and Brad, Cynthia only saw her once, which was Thanksgiving 2017, which was 2 months after Gabby first moved in with Candace and Brad. And Candace and Brad, they were pretty good about the abuse because Cynthia never picked up on anything. Clearly, they stopped the abuse to let Gabby recover so Cynthia wouldn't pick up on anything. You also might be wondering about the other child in this situation, Zoe. Yeah, because there's another young child, a baby in this situation. Well, Zoe was treated the complete opposite of Gabby. Because Zoe was Brad's biological child, he would dote on Zoe. The lives that the two sisters were living couldn't have been further apart. I mean, obviously Zoe is still living in the same environment. It's still a disgusting, dirty, unhygienic environment. So Zoe is still being mistreated, neglected. But when it comes to the actual abuse, Zoe is not going through any of that. That must have also been incredibly confusing for Gabby as well, wondering why she is being treated so differently to her younger sister. And now we get to December of 2017, which is just before the horrific events of today's case. At this point, Gabby is basically being kept in complete isolation. Candace and Brad actually set up a nanny cam in her bedroom so they could monitor her and they wouldn't have to go in. And you can actually see some of this footage online and it's just truly heartbreaking to see. Just to see little Gabby on her own in this room, that alone breaks your heart. I just don't know how anyone can do these things to a child. Video footage also shows that Gabby was not allowed to sleep on a mattress because her mattress was actually placed against the wall because Gabby was having so many accidents that Candace and Brad only wear a trash bag. Yeah, a trash bag for clothes because Candace almost wants to inflict the same kind of pain on her own daughter. After a while, Gabby was removed from the bath, and then she was just sent to her bedroom with no treatment, nothing for the burns at all. She just had to sleep it off. And I can only imagine how extremely painful and uncomfortable that night's sleep would have been, especially because she's not even allowed a mattress. She has to sleep on the floor. And then the next morning, Gabby woke up and she was complaining about the burns on her body. Another bath of boiling hot water, and Brad was just there as well. Of course, Gabby started screaming the moment that she hit that boiling hot water again, but Candace forced Gabby to stay in this water. But then Candace started scrubbing at her burns. Remember, her words were she wanted to clean off the burns, and that is literally what she is doing. She is scrubbing. And he was encouraging Candace to keep going. Candace then put her hand over Gabby's mouth, and I assume she is doing this to stop her from screaming. However, now Gabby is unable to breathe. She was suffocating and burning at the same time. But Candace just kept going with her hand over Gabby's mouth. She just kept scrubbing away at her skin, and more of Gabby's skin just kept melting off. But then Candace also started pulling out Gabby's hair, and I have no idea. Did she dial 911? No. Instead, she called her adopted mom, Cynthia, the grandmother that cared deeply for Gabby. To save her. They performed CPR, she went into surgery, but tragically nothing could be done. Gabby's wounds were just too severe. She had also been starved of oxygen, and she also had extreme septic shock. And because of this, of the water, causing her to drown and suffocate. Completely innocent. He was in a separate room and he was not aware of anything, I swear. Candice will die on that hill for Brad. But the story didn't add up because the investigation team forensically examined the bathtub. And when they looked down the drain, they found melted remains of human flesh, along with a child's big toe. And of course, it was determined that this skin, this toe, it did belong to Gabby. But not just that, when an autopsy was carried out on the police knew now that this was no accident. However, there was one problem. The police had already let Brad and Candace go after their interview, pending investigation. Family members and friends were pleading with the couple to come forward, and they were on the run for a week. How did no one find them? But then 8 days after Gabby child the way that they did. They literally boiled Gabby alive so badly that her skin melted off her of today's case. Gabby Barrett was described as a sweet, kind, and caring little girl. She loved to read, she loved colouring. So excited about it. She had her whole life ahead of her, and she was taken far, far too soon. She was just 4 years old. And when you see pictures of Gabby, it's she's living in her memories, and it breaks my heart. It really does to think of breaks my heart too, bro. The life that she could have continued to have if she hadn't have gone and lived with her mom and her evil weird. So that brings us to the end of today's absolute. Say thank you.
Thank you. So you eating no dinner, right? No dinner, no. So they took it, man. Hello? They took Nick. What do you mean he's going to the guys? What? You think that's not Nick? Yeah, they took him. They took him, bro. I have told you as much as I know. Something took him. Maybe go right way. No, I didn't say that. I said something was on the roof. Need anybody at this point? Well, funny story. Really hard to believe. First, you're afterwards. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God, what's that? Are you good? What was that ring? Do you hear that? What is that ring? It's gonna come for everyone. Nothing. We have security cameras, and I'm pretty sure we captured it all. Not ready to do it. Hello? Hello? Well, from this losing my mind if I'm exhausted, but I just drove through my driveway right now. Close that. Come on. Come on. No. Come on. Damn it, I'm getting my mouse. Doesn't need your phone. Yes, he does. God, it's not his Xbox. It's my Xbox. That is your shirt. That's no shirt. happened so far didn't seem real. It just felt like a dream.
That sounds nice, doesn't it? So tell us what happened one more time. It's definitely good.
Started